Unmuted.
We are now live. The meeting of the Board of Adjustments for the City of Socorro, scheduled for Thursday, September 24th, 2020 at 6 p.m., has changed its meeting location from courtroom chambers to council chambers at 860 Rio Vista Road, Socorro, Texas, 79927, due to a previous meeting cancellation. La reunión de la Junta de Ajustes para la Ciudad de Socorro, programada para el jueves 24 de septiembre de 2020 a las 6 de la tarde, ha cambiado su lugar de reunión de la sala de corte a la sala del concilio en 860 Rio Vista, Socorro, Texas, 79927, debido a una cancelación de otra reunión. This meeting of the City of Socorro Board of Adjustments is set to begin. First and foremost, the City of Socorro would like to thank everyone and ask for your patience during this difficult time we have been presented with. Everyone, please remember to silence any electronics to avoid sound interruption. No disruptive behavior or outbursts will be tolerated, and violators are subject to call disconnection and possible prosecution. In accordance with Section 418.016 of the Texas Government Code, and by order of the Office of the Governor issued March 16, 2020, the Board of Adjustments for the City of Socorro will broadcast the meeting scheduled today, September 24th, 2020, at 6 p.m. from council chambers located at 860 Rio Vista Road, Socorro, Texas, via telephone conference and live stream. In order to advance the public health goal and practice social distancing to slow the spread of the coronavirus, also known as COVID 19. The public that signed up and any presenters will be called upon by the presiding officer during the meeting to speak during the public comment or their agenda item during the meeting following Government Code 551.042. La Junta de Ajustes de la Ciudad de Socorro está por empezar. Primeramente, queremos darles las gracias y pedimos su paciencia durante estos momentos críticos que enfrentamos. Favor de poner en silencio todo equipo electrónico para evitar interrupción de sonido. No se va a tolerar ningún tipo de comportamiento perjudicial o revoltoso. A quien no siga estas reglas, su llamada será desconectada y puede ser infraccionado. De acuerdo con sección 418.016 del Código del Gobierno de Texas y por orden de la Oficina del Gobernador, anunciada el 16 de marzo de 2020, la Junta de Ajustes de la Ciudad de Socorro transmitirá su reunión hoy, jueves 24 de septiembre de 2020, a las 6 de la tarde, desde la sala del concilio, localizada en 860 Rio Vista, Socorro, Texas, por medio de teléfono y será transmitida en vivo para avanzar en el objetivo de salud pública y practicar el distanciamiento social, para tomar medidas preventivas para prevenir la propagación del coronavirus, conocida como el COVID-19, a los demás y por la seguridad del público. El público y los presentadores serán anunciados por el oficial conduciendo la reunión para poder hablar durante la sección de comentario público o después de la discusión del artículo de la agenda por el cual se apuntaron, siguiendo las reglas del gobierno 551.042.
Mr. Trujillo, do we call to order?
Yes, it's 6:16. This meeting is now called to order. Can you call out the names of the board members on the meeting, please, so we can establish a quorum?
Item number 2, establishment of quorum. Rudy Cruz?
Here.
Ben Arras is absent today. Jesus Miguel Chaires?
Here.
David Oropesa?
Here.
Jorge Dominguez?
Here.
Roberto Renteria?
Here.
Mr. Trujillo.
Present.
We have a quorum with 6 members present. Item number 3, excuse absent commission members. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I second that.
Who made a motion?
Rudy Cruz.
And Robert Renteria, the second.
I have a motion made by Mr. Cruz to approve and a second by Mr. Renteria. Now I'm gonna take my vote. Mr. Cruz?
Yes.
Ben Arras is absent. Jesus Miguel Chaires?
Yes.
Mr. Oropesa?
Yes.
Mr. Dominguez?
Yeah.
Mr. Renteria.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 4, reading of the Board of Judgment statement.
Okay, I'm gonna read out the Bible as this time now. The Board of Adjustments of the City of Socorro is now in session. This board is established under Article 211.008 of the Local Government Code to permit the correction of inequalities in the application of the zoning ordinance according to specific legal rules. Your application will decide only after you have had the chance to present evidence before the board of it for its consideration. Other parties interested in your case may also be heard at this time. No consultation among board members has been held in advance regarding your case. This board does not act in an arbitrary manner. You may feel that this application of the zoning ordinance to your situation will result in hardship to you, but this does not necessarily mean that this board has the power to grant you relief unless the facts of your case are such that the board must act on them. You may be sure full consideration will be given your case, and following this hearing, you will promptly notify of the board's decision.
Item number 5, swearing of all persons giving testimony.
This is Marwan. Is there anybody on the public line?
Yes, sir, there is. We have applicants that called in.
It may be easier, maybe if we can kind of take a roll call on who called in and have them state their name, and then the chairperson can have them all sworn in. But they need to identify themselves first.
Okay. So right now we have Mr. Cesar Valenzuela, Mario Jimenez, Ms. Bach, Guadalupe Favela, and Jorge Torres on the line.
Hello, good afternoon.
Okay, so si señor Valenzuela puede decir su nombre, por favor.
Sí, buenas tardes, César Valenzuela.
Okay. Señor Jimenez. Mr.
Good
Jimenez.
afternoon. My name is Mario Jimenez.
Okay, Ms. Bach, if I can have you introduce yourself with your full name.
Good evening, this is Michelle Bach.
Señor Favela, si se puede presentar, por favor.
Buenas tardes, Alberto Favela.
Señor Torres, si se puede presentar, por favor.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Jorge Torres.
Okay, Mr. Trujillo.
Yes, believe it or not, but I can see each and every one of you from here. Can you stand up and raise your right hand, please?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Trujillo,
Okay.
the people that you
Do
see
you
are the
swear to
commissioners.
tell the truth and nothing but the whole truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yes.
I need the other persons to also answer the question.
I do.
Yes.
Señor Favela and Mr. Torres.
I do. Yes.
Item number 6, consider and take action on the approval of meeting minutes of August 27, 2020. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the prior meeting of September, or was it
August 27.
August the 27th?
Do I have a
Second.
second? I have a motion made by Mr. Trujillo to approve, seconded by Mr. Cruz. May I take now your vote? Mr. Cruz?
Yes.
Ben Arras is absent today. Jesus Miguel Chaires?
Yes.
David Oropesa?
Yes.
Mr. Dominguez?
Yes.
Mr. Renteria?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 7, consider and take action on the proposed variance request to Muni Code Chapter 46-262A related to the minimum required front yard setback for Lot 1, Block 1, Jimenez subdivision at 275 South Nevares Road to reduce the required front setback for an addition to an existing building.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is Job with the Planning and Zoning Department. This application was brought to you because they're asking for a variance. They're asking for a variance to the required setbacks for an addition to a building. This property is located at 275 South Nevares. It is owned by Mario Jimenez. It has an area of 51,836 square feet. That's about 1.19 acres. This property is about 300 feet away from Socorro Road. There is a home in this property that was built in 1950, according to the El Paso Central Appraisal records. This is the building that you see here in the front. This is Nevares Road. This property was rezoned in 2011 to R2. So the current zoning classification of this property is R2. That classification allows multiple dwellings inside the property. There is a duplex in the back. There is a building that was modified in 2016 in the back. These buildings are okay because they are allowed in this zone. The problem in this application is the building in the front. The one that I just outlined right here. This building is a grandfathered structure. By grandfathered, that means that the building was erected before 1989, May 1989. That's when the first ordinances were adopted by the city. This building was already established. The zoning code allows this building to remain in existence as long as it's not modified. So as you can see, the zoning of the property R2 requires a 20-foot setback from the front of the property. The line that you see in red, this is approximately where the 20-foot setback would be. Well, because this building is within the setbacks, that's why it's considered a non-conforming structure. There is no problem if the applicant wants to add to the structures in the back. They can go ahead and add as long as they're within the setbacks. The reason they came tonight to ask for the variance is because they want to add square feet to this building that is already a non-conforming structure. And that is not allowed under section 46-147, subsection A. It says that this building, as long as it's not modified, it is protected by the grandfather law. The Planning and Zoning Department cannot approve the plans. For that reason, they came to the Board of Adjustments to ask for the variance to the setbacks. And they also need permission to be granted a variance to the section that protects the grandfathering of the building. So what happens is if this building is modified, they're gonna lose the grandfather protection. I don't know if you have any questions.
Okay, Joe, I'm somewhat confused. You said it was on Navarez Road, a few hundred feet away from Socorro Road?
Yes, sir. This is Socorro Road right here, the one where you see the mouse. And then this is Wind Road,
Okay,
and then this is Nevares. Nevares used to flow in this direction, and then it will travel into the Mission. But this portion of
okay, so
Nevares,
it's a few feet away from the Mission.
yes, sir. It's
Okay.
across the street from the Mission.
If this person is requesting to modify that structure, I'm gonna make a motion to deny because he will lose his grandfather clock.
And
I make a motion to deny.
I'll second that.
I have a motion made by Mr. Trujillo to deny and seconded by Mr. Cruz.
And Mr. Jimenez is also on the line. If you have any questions for Mr. Jimenez, or if Mr. Jimenez would like to say something about this.
Well, if he wants to say
Yes,
something,
I'm on
I
my
mean,
side here.
the motion is already on the table and it was second, so it is denied.
Now may I take your vote? Mr. Cruz,
Yes.
Mr. Arras is absent today. Mr. Shaides,
Yes.
Mr. Oropesa,
Yes.
Mr. Dominguez,
Yes, denied.
Mr. Renteria.
Yes.
Motion carries with all members in favor. Item number 8, consider and take action on the proposed variance request to Muni Code Chapter 46-415, 3C, related to the setback required from a major arterial for lots 6 and 7, Block 1, 3 Missions subdivision at 10570 and 10580 North Loop Drive.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This item was presented in the last meeting. We brought it back because the applicant was having a problem connecting to the phone lines. We had to bring it back so we can reconsider it and allow the applicant an opportunity to be heard. They're asking for a variance to build additional storage facilities on lot 6 and 7. These properties are located at 10570 and 10580 North Loop. They're right next to the post office. This property is about 1,000 feet away from Rio Vista Road. And I'm gonna show you the survey that was provided to us, showing the location of the proposed buildings. There is an ordinance that requires a 60-foot setback. Let me share my screen again to show you the aerial map. Okay, there is an ordinance that requires a 60-foot setback from a major arterial road. They're asking to build the structures about 40 feet from the property line. The reason for that is because they would like for these buildings to be aligned with the existing facility. They would also be aligned with the shopping center that is adjacent. So in order for them to do that, they would have to encroach 20 feet into the setback. Now let me bring up the survey real quick. So you can see the buildings. Also, Mrs. Bach, she's on the line if you would like to say anything about this. You see that on the screen right there? This is where they would have the access to the buildings. And as you can see on the side, these are the buildings that are already existing. The new construction would be in line with the existing buildings. So, Mrs. Bach, would you like to say anything?
Yes, thank you. Just in addition to the note about our request is for the 20-foot reduction from the 60-foot arterial setback to a 40-foot setback to be in line, as already previously noted, with the existing storage facility and adjacent properties along North Loop Drive. Both the post office and the shopping center are within the same 40-foot setback. We, in addition to having the reduction, are providing roughly a 25-foot front yard landscape setback, as well as keeping the existing curb cut that is shown on the street. That will be a gated curb cut, so the existing two driveway connections to the storage facility will remain as is, with the new cut shown right here on your screen, to be a gated access only to mitigate traffic. We'll also be providing a decorative screen wall within that 25-foot landscape setback that's made to fit within the natural stone environment of the area. It's been a long time business in the town of Socorro, and we'd like to continue to expand our facility into this area. Our current capacity is at 98%, so this additional square footage would be a much needed asset to the public and to the town of Socorro. We would also like to take into consideration the existing stormwater drainage pond that runs along the southern portion of our site that does take a large chunk out of our buildable area. Our parcel dimensions do include a portion of that retention basin. So it takes out roughly 16% of our site that we're not able to use, which the additional 20 feet along Loop Drive would help offset. And if there's any additional questions by the commissioners, more specific to our development and to the site plan that was previously shown on the screen, I'm happy to answer them.
Well,
Thank
I have a question. Why can't you just follow the building codes in Socorro and the guidelines and just shrink your building to what is needed to be with the building codes?
We are requesting the setback in order to make the site consistent with each other, to have our front driveways to align with each other, to have the cross connection between the existing facility and the new portion of the facility by the front office. and financially, the project no longer becomes viable without the additional buildable area for square footage.
Joe,
Yes, sir.
is there a irrigation lateral to your right? Going towards the grocery stores
There
or
is
the
a,
shopping center?
yes, this one is the Y197 lateral, I believe. But it's on the other side of the ponding area. It's outside the property line from this
Yeah.
lot. Yes, there is a lateral.
What is the planning and zoning scale on this one, Joe?
Well, I know that there's been some discussion, even with council. It has gone all the way up to council regarding this ordinance that has been affecting multiple businesses on major arterial roads. Council is aware that there is a potential problem with the setbacks that are required under this chapter. But unfortunately, just because the chapter is currently in full force, the Planning and Zoning Department recommends denial for this particular request. The reason for that, because approval could be seen as arbitrary, since we have this provision that it applies uniform to everybody. We don't think it would be fair, since there's other businesses that have complied with the 60-foot separation. We could not demonstrate this to be a benefit for the public interest. We see it as a benefit to a particular business owner.
Okay, Joe, let's not go any further.
Okay.
I want to come back to what Mr. Cruz said. Any builder that comes into the city of Socorro has to follow the codes and regulations of what this city has. So I'm going to make a motion to deny.
A second.
I have a motion made by Mr. Trujillo to deny and seconded by Mr. Cruz. Now I'm gonna take your vote. Mr. Cruz?
Aye.
Mr. Arras is absent today. Mr. Shaides?
Aye.
Mr. Oropesa?
Aye.
Mr. Dominguez?
Aye.
Mr. Renteria?
Aye.
Motion carries with all members in favor. Item number 9, consider and take action on the proposed variance request to Muni Code Chapter 46-38 2D related to the rear setbacks that are required for Lot 7, Block 3, Aljo Estates at 217 Wetumpka Lane, changing the required setbacks from 25 feet to 15.7 feet to allow an existing building to remain as built.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is the other case that was presented in the last meeting. And the reason we brought it back is for the same reason. The applicant could not connect to the phone lines. So in order for them to be heard, we brought them back. One of the things that was pending from the last meeting when we spoke about this item is that the board requested letters with signatures of approval from the neighbors saying that they don't have a problem if the board approves this petition. We were able to verify the signatures from all the neighbors. And as you can see around the property, we put some pins on the lots where the neighbors, the owners of the property, signed this petition. So as you can see, Mr. Torres was able to get the signatures from both neighbors, left and right, and from the ones who live in the back of the property. We did confirm with the El Paso Central Appraisal records, the people who signed, they are the owners of the properties. I don't know if you have any more questions for this one. That they were asking for the variance for the building that was added without a permit.
I have a question. This is Mr. Renteria.
Yes, sir.
For the city attorney, because of, the denials that we just did right now, could the city be sued for approving something like this?
You're saying sued by previous applicants that were denied for some other reason?
Correct.
No, I mean, everybody, anybody that files a lawsuit has to have their own merits for filing a lawsuit. I guess if you are discriminated and other people in the same situation are treated differently, yeah, it does create an issue. Every situation is unique. So if you're going to approve or deny somebody for a particular reason, sometimes it does help to state that this situation is different from the other thing. Why is it different? But it's your call on approval of denial of things. On this one, I think if you're asking me about this particular one, this is a residential one. The one that item that we heard before this was commercial. So different situation, but anybody can file a lawsuit over anything if that answers your question too. Doesn't mean they'll be.
It clarifies it a little bit. Thank you.
And Mr. Body, the other thing, the only thing that makes this one different than the others is that this one is a structure that was already built. The other ones, they were asking for permission to build encroaching into the setbacks. This one's already fully erected. So this is.
That's right.
Yes,
yeah,
that's
right.
building.
So Joe pointed out, correctly that, pre-existing construction versus new construction is a different thing. There are those factors. Actually, Joe usually puts them in each agenda item when there's a recommendation from planning and zoning. I think Job also lays out the factors to look at. That is it following the literal spirit of the law? Is there hardship? Those sorts of things. So you do need to evaluate each different item differently from something else and look at it on its own merits.
Mr. Torres is also on the line. I don't know if Mr. Torres, si quiere decir algo para su caso.
Pues no entendí muy bien todo lo que dijeron, ¿verdad? No hablo mucho inglés, ¿verdad? Yo nomás les pido pues que, yo he cumplido ya con los requisitos que me han pedido, ¿verdad? Realmente la adición que hice no estorba a ninguno de mis vecinos. Son 5 pies nada más de lo que es la barda. De hecho, mis vecinos, el de atrás, está pegado a mi barda y pues para mí no hay ningún problema tampoco, ¿verdad? Entonces, pues sí me gustaría, si yo les puse mi caso, yo estoy enfermo, tengo cáncer, necesito pues hacer algo con mi propiedad porque ya no me quieren atender en el hospital porque debo mucho dinero. Entonces, tengo desde enero con este caso y ya son 7, 9 meses queriendo arreglar este problema y por una cosa, por otra no he podido, ¿verdad? Entonces, pues sí me gustaría que tomara una solución, ¿verdad?
I think we should, we had already asked this gentleman for signatures, and if he came through with that we would approve it. Obviously, he did, so I motion to approve.
Second the motion.
I have a motion made by Mr. Oropesa to approve and seconded by Mr. Cruz. Now I'm gonna take my vote. Mr. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Arras is absent today. Mr. Shaides?
Yes.
Mr. Oropesa?
Yes.
Mr. Dominguez?
Yes.
Mr. Renteria?
Yes.
Motion carries with all members in favor. Item number 10, consider and take action on the proposed variance request to Muni Code Chapter 46-238-2B related to the minimum required side yard setback for Track 28-A-16, Block 9, Socorro Grant, at 10812 Melward Road for a garage.
So good afternoon, Commissioners. This is an application for the variance to the setbacks. This property is located at 10812 Melward. What happened here is this applicant built a garage on the side of this is a double wide mobile home. So he built this freestanding garage that he plans to use as a storage. Again, the red line that you see here on the side, this is where the setback approximately should be. There is a little bit of encroachment on the corner. It's probably about 3 feet. This property has about 10,846 square feet according to the subdivision plat. That's about 1/4 of an acre. It's owned by Cesar Valenzuela. So according to them, they purchased the property, but there was only a concrete slab. Now, what I'm gonna put on the screen here are some pictures of the building. He built this garage on top of the existing concrete slab. Please bear with me, I'm just waiting for my computer to load. Okay, well, I guess I'm having technical difficulties with my computer. I don't think I'm gonna be able to show the pictures. So I'm gonna share the screen again where you were looking at the aerial map. He's asking for a variance to this little corner that is encroaching about 3 feet. The building is already framed.
Joe, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is Mr. Valenzuela willing to comply with the alternative you put here?
We still haven't discussed that with Mr. Valenzuela because we're bringing this to the board first to consider this. However, Mr. Valenzuela is on the line right now. Okay, there you go. Here's a picture of the building that he erected. As you can see, it's already covered from the outside. And currently it's framed. You can see the frame inside. Oh, not really. Let me put another picture. And his intention is to use it as a garage and as a storage. So
Is it gonna be a storage or a garage?
both. It's gonna be garage and storage. But I guess I'm not gonna be able to show this picture.
Well, if he was to comply with what you're asking, wouldn't that make it legal?
With your approval, yes. So here's the inside of the building. As you can see, it's framed. One of the things that if the board grants the variance to this applicant, the next thing that needs to happen is make sure that he certifies the footings that they installed under the building. The
I'll make a
footings-
motion to approve if he complies with your alternative request here.
Okay, Mr. Valenzuela, señor Valenzuela, ¿está en la línea?
Yes, I am. I speak Spanish and English, so either way works out.
Okay, did so you understand that they're making a recommendation to approve if you comply with the conditions? So the alternative that we presented to the board is it could be approved because the amount of encroachment is minimal, but you would have to create fire-rated walls along the sides of inside the garage and on the ceiling. It's gonna have to be at least a 2-hour firewall, just because you're planning to use it as a storage. In order to protect the residence property that is next door, we are gonna ask you for a 2-hour fire rated according to the International Residential Code.
Okay, I understand, and yes, I apologize for not taking that setback in consideration. I purchased that property for my father to live in. It was sold to me by that neighbor, and he was having issues, apparently keeping drug addicts from that place. It was vandalized. It was down to the studs inside the house. So my father was looking for a place, and I decided to take over and help him out as little as I can. Of course, COVID didn't really granted me the opportunity to work things out. But what if we don't use it for storage and just for his garage?
Well, we're just because you mentioned that it's gonna be used as a storage, just to be sure that in the future you don't change your mind, we are gonna ask you for a 2-hour firewall.
And, okay, I'm not too familiar with that, but I'll comply with whatever you guys want me to look into to make sure everything is as it should and following the standards. Of course, I wouldn't want to put my father's health or any of the neighbors in danger. As a matter of fact, the neighbor passed away 2 nights ago, and of course, it's a life that matters to everybody. So whatever you guys need, I will comply.
And then the second thing that you
Okay,
need.
I'd like to say that you sound very intelligent, and if you are going to follow the codes of what Mr. Cruz just mentioned, I will second Mr. Cruz's motion.
I have a motion made by Mr. Cruz to approve and seconded by Mr. Trujillo. Now I'm gonna have to take my vote. Mr. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Arras is absent today. Mr. Shaides?
Yes.
Mr. Oropesa?
Yes.
Mr. Dominguez?
Yes.
Mr. Renteria?
Yes.
Motion carries with all members in favor. Item
Thank you.
number 7, consider and take action on the proposed variance request to Muni Code Chapter 46-239A and Section 46-623 related to the minimum required rear yard setbacks for accessory structures for Lot 3, Block 13, Hacienda del Valle Number 1 at 11700 Valle Viejo.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This one is, on this application, they're asking for a variance to the setbacks. This property is located at 11700 Valle Viejo. So this property is about 1,500 feet from, westerly located from North Loop. It has about 20,846 square feet. That's about almost half an acre. It's owned by Belén Montañez, and it's represented by Guadalupe Favela. What happened here is they were detected building an accessory building on the back of the property. There is an ordinance that requires a 10-foot separation from the back of the property. This is the front of the house on Valle Viejo. And this is where they're building the structure. Currently, they don't comply with the 10-foot setback that's required. They have 5 feet on the back, 5 feet on this corner, and because the building is in an angle, they have about 7 feet in the front. The red line that you see here on the back is not the setbacks. This is an existing utility easement that was recorded along with the subdivision plat. So there is some encroachment on the building that is being erected. There's encroachment on the easement. And let me see if I can share you some pictures that we took this morning.
Mr. Terrazas,
Yes, sir.
was there a permit applied for before the construction was started?
No, sir, they started without a permit. That's why they were stopped. And when we went into the property, we measured and we noticed that they're not complying with the setbacks. And they decided to apply to the Board of Adjustments for the variance. But no, they don't have a permit for this. The first thing that needs to happen is to get the variance approved before we can grant the permit. So as you can see,
Okay. For that reason, I mean, everybody understands if we allow this, it'll be a pattern where everybody will build first and then, ask, say sorry later, if you will. So if we can allow her to say something to that effect.
Ms. Favela, who's on the line? Mr. Favela, ¿está en la línea?
Sí, aquí está. Sí.
¿Quiere decir algo para que lo escuchen los comisionados? Ya le presenté la aplicación. You'd like to say anything about this?
Ajá. Sí, pues sí estuve yendo, pero no, pues no sé, no entiendo muy bien el inglés.
Ok, nomás les acabo de explicar.
La pregunta es, ¿por qué empezó a construir antes de obtener un permiso para hacer esa construcción?
Ok. Yo ya tenía un tejabán así, pero lo tenía pegado al cerco. No tenía nada de espacio. Lo tenía techado y todo con lámina también. Y lo quise hacer más alto para meter mis carros. Y me despegué 5 pies de cada lado, pero pues yo pensé que no tenía que pedir permiso para hacer otro nuevo.
Okay, I've got a motion to deny.
Second.
I have a motion made by Mr. Renteria to deny and seconded by Mr. Cruz. Now may I have you take your vote? Mr. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Shides?
Yes, because of the utility. Yeah, yes.
Mr. Oropesa?
Yes.
Mr. Dominguez?
Yes.
Mr. Renteria?
Yes.
Motion carries with all members in favor. Item number 12, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
I have a motion made by Mr. Trujillo to approve and seconded by Mr. Dominguez. May I take your vote, Mr. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Shides?
Yes.
Mr. Oropesa?
Yes.
Mr. Dominguez?
Yes.
Mr. Renteria?
Yes.
Motion carries with all members in favor. The meeting is adjourned at 6:57 p.m.
Thank you, commissioners.